Hey there, everyone. Bobby D here with Inspire Hearts and Virtual Event Fundraising. I've got my good friend Michael up here with Mitch Stuart. And Michael, how you doing in this new normal?
Doing very well, actually. Just getting used to it all. No doubt that it's a new change, it's a
Right.
new direction, and it's forcing everybody to kind of take a step back and say, okay, what are we going to do now? And
Right.
I will tell you, I was thinking about this interview, and one thing I think that's probably the biggest challenge for everybody is that it's not only a new normal, but it's an ambiguous new normal, right? Because we don't know when it's going to change. We don't
Yeah.
know if things will go back to normal. If they do, what are they going to look like? So
Right.
that's stuff that we're thinking about
Right. Right. No, that's a great point.
right
So let's talk a bit about Mitch Stewart. I mean, I mean, we've worked together. God, I think 5, 7 years now,
now.
and
Yeah.
hundreds of nonprofit clients that we've been able to to assist and raise money. But I know there's a lot of people out there that are just like, okay, so what is Mitch Stewart? Who is this
What do
mysterious?
we do and
Yeah,
who
yeah.
are
What do
we?
you do? Yeah. So, and how do you set apart in the market?
Well, I want to give you, I don't want to be a talking brochure. So if I go too long, just kind of interrupt me and ask
That's
me.
okay.
But we're a company, we're based in Orange County, been around for 25 years, help charities raise money with different programs. But as we are formed, or the way we operate today is we're a consignment company. And a consignment travel company is a company that just provides travel packages for charities to use in various fundraising events. So they can use it in a silent auction, live auction, a raffle, it could be a fund to need. They can use our product in last paddle up. It could be online auctions, I think I said. And then obviously now everybody's talking about the virtual auctions and you could still use the travel packages. But the beauty about consignment is you don't pay for it unless it sells.
Okay.
So the way we position ourselves is we're a risk-free fundraising company, risk-free fundraising tool. We don't look at ourselves as a travel company. We look at ourselves as a fundraising. We just
Okay.
happen to help charities with a specific product, which is travel.
Right, right. And what I really appreciate, working with Mitch Stewart and you yourself, is the ease of that customer service. And it's
Appreciate
very, and I've worked with lots of consignment companies, and there's a reason that we're continuing to do business together, because it's not only the customer service with the nonprofit that you have the interaction with them, but it's also the donor interaction. Let's talk a little bit about that, like kind of like if a group is working with you and they have some travel packages, like what, like, I mean, especially these days, donor relationships are so important.
Correct.
What does that look like?
Well, for us, first of all, when we hire staff or our production team, one of the things we tell them is that you have to like people. It's kind of like working for Southwest Airlines. And we have a group of staff that they all love people. They love to interact. You can't shy away because in travel, when you're booking travel, eventually we end up being the concierge service for the travelers. It's always different. And people's expectations can be different. And if you don't like that, then you might be this wonderful person, but you're really going to struggle at work. So we make sure that we hire people that really like people. The way it works for us is that when a charity buys a travel package from us, it is turned over to us, and we work directly with the travelers or the donors, and we make sure they have kind of this white glove service. And so we're super proactive. I mean, as soon as we're paid, we're talking to the customers really the first day. We tell people 24 to 48 hours, but we talk to them the same day most of the time. We get in touch with them, make sure they have everything, make sure they understand everything, and then we take care of them when they're ready to book their travel. So it's kind of a white glove service.
Yeah, totally. No, I love that. So now, as we're evolving into this virtual event space, what are some unique types of events that you're seeing? I mean, I know the online auction and now the live virtual auction. That's going on. But how are, I mean, like, what are some things that you're seeing? But then also, how are you integrating your product within that service that you have?
It's a great question. So there's three main areas. A full virtual auction where there's an auctioneer like yourself who's live and they're taking, they're doing the chant, they're taking
Yep.
bids, and the bids are coming through electronically. We're seeing online auctions, and we're having a lot of people who have canceled their event or not really canceled it, but most of them reschedule it. And a
Yeah,
lot of them are
postponing.
rescheduling for later in the year.
Hmm.
But when they reschedule, they're doing something in between. And that in between is the online auction. don't want to take their gala and turn it into a virtual gala forever. What they're really doing is just moving it. They're shifting.
Right.
The larger organizations, they may not need to do that because it depends on what their reserves are. Excuse me. But for the smaller organizations, filling those gaps is important. So we see the online auction, and where our product comes in, it's no different than a live or anything else. You can take our products, upload it to a particular software program you're using, and they don't buy the trips unless they sell them. Well, oftentimes in an online auction, you can have a wider menu, and you can have a more diverse group of packages, bigger menu. You could have travel, you can have experiences, you can have restaurants. So what it also does, affords them to use more of the product.
Oh.
One thing, though, that's interesting about online, and anybody that watches this needs to know this, that online, the shopper has time. There's no emotion, right?
Interesting.
You want to make sure that you're using travel experiences that have a little bit more wow factor, that have a little bit larger spread. What we call the estimated value is higher than the cost. That spread between a cost and estimated value needs to be bigger, because people are going to shop it, and they're probably going to be looking more for a deal than they would at a live auction, where you've got the emotion and the passion going for, hey, I just want to donate to the charity. I don't care what it's called, what it's worth.
Right. And now, I mean, everyone has all this extra time, and they can really dig in, and they can, really price compare, and yes, we want to, we want to tie in that mission and impact of the nonprofit they're working with. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's dollars for travel, and when we get to travel again, they're trying, and I'm sure the donors and the purchasers are trying to figure that out, and having that balance. So you're right. Like, they're going to have time. They're going to be able to look through all of these opportunities and these different things to be like, okay, here, let's compare apples to apples and make the best deal for me. And if we can give the charity, some extra, upon that, then that's a win-win, for sure.
Right.
So.
Well, one strategy that we were discussing earlier that you can use is you can have a buy now or a purchase now type of group of travel packages. So let's say you had something, it was to Mexico, and the value on it's $4,000 and the cost on it might be $1,200. Instead of trying to sell it one time, you could sell it to a whole lot of people at $2,500, and you have a now option where everybody that buys it. So as long as the charity is happy with that revenue, customer or the donor get a great deal on a travel package, everybody wins.
Right.
And so that's one way to do it too, if you don't want to just do a traditional auction. The other thing we're seeing is raffles. We've had customers for years who do raffles regardless if they have a gala or not. But oftentimes it is tied to the gala. Right? They want to award the person at the gala.
Right.
It's gives you guys something to cheer about and to kind of conjure up the energy. But you can still do a virtual raffle. The one thing you have to do is make sure your state allows for it. And I don't know every single state law, but it's very important when people do raffles, they know their state laws. But that's
they got to make sure they're following within those guidelines, because I mean, now opening up virtually, you have the potential to sell outside of your state lines, and now you've got to play by those rules, and you got to figure all that out. So for nonprofits watching this, make sure you check with your guidelines, check with all of those rules and regulations of how to figure out how that how you can utilize a raffle from that. So I love that. Good stuff. So now we have many nonprofits that, I mean, now here we are, it's the end of March, and there's those that have canceled. There's those that have postponed. There's those that are considering, like you say, kind of filling that gap. They're kind of like, okay, let's find something here in the middle. What are some tips or tricks that you could give a nonprofit that's thinking about creating some type of virtual, fundraising experience? Whether it is auction or buy nows, or I mean, I've even heard of virtual golf tournaments and virtual dog shows and different things. So I don't know. I just want to hear from you as the solution provider. What are some ideas that we could give nonprofits?
Well, there is the virtual auction, and I like to say that it's important to team with people who know how to do that, because it's real easy. It's kind of this universal word. Everybody's saying virtual, and they just think virtual means online, or it just means using technology. And virtual can come in the form of, like we said, an online auction before. You can go live, so you have a simulcast that's almost just like a QVC event.
Right.
There can be regular chanting from the auctioneer, or it can be QVC kind of just talking about the items. You
Right.
can do a fund a need. You can have speakers. But the thing I would tell the auctioneers that, I mean, not the auctioneer, but the charity, that if you're going to do a virtual event and you want it to be kind of a 360 event like that, I would make sure that you analyze your marketing plan, because
Very good.
communicating a virtual event and telling your donors why you need to do it, you certainly don't want to send the message that, oh no, we're in a catastrophe, I'm desperate, please give money. Now you
I
can
got
pull,
5 of those emails today.
yeah, you can pull on heartstrings, and there's nothing wrong with creating some urgency, but you really want to show your donor base that you've got a strategy that is going to work. You want to give them confidence that when you're going to roll this out, that it's going to work.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is you can do the online auction, you can do the raffle. I have not heard of the golf event, but I know that would be amazing. You could probably do an online poker event.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
there's
know what
yeah,
the gambling ones are, but there have got to be all kinds of donors out there that support charities that would say, oh yeah, I'll do that. Because they do. They have live poker events, and people will come for, they may not even know the charity, and they have these live poker events and they're full and they make a ton of money. You can even
that's right.
auction during those events.
And that's what we're trying to talk with nonprofits, is to think bigger and to think, outside of what used to be this like gala box. It was like, okay, that has to fit within this gala box, but now we have this blank virtual slate in which we can do so many different things. I was talking with an organization just yesterday about a virtual coffee tasting competition. So,
there you go.
and I'm like, okay, yeah. So how do you do that? And then how can you incorporate some, some fundraising, elements, within that? And that is, a chance to like, hey, look, we've got, these couple packages here. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Here,
Right.
If you're considering traveling, we've got these options that are here, or here we've got some swag that is here, here, and here. You could give here, and it doesn't really, it does matter what's inside the box because that's the experience. But by thinking outside of the box, it's like, okay, well, how can we create multiple kind of streams of revenue, within this that live, whether they're creating a full-on virtual event or this is something that's kind of evergreen and that, becomes a part of their fundraising page. And it's just, here, travel for a cause. And here's some options that you can just go click, 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 and then everybody wins, right?
Yeah. And depending on how they price it, they get a piece of the revenue and everybody wins there.
Right.
The other thing to keep, as you were speaking, what came to my mind is this rewards the charity who know their donor demographics.
Yes.
It really does, because if you think you know them and you run a virtual event and then nobody shows up, it's because you didn't really know your donor base. Because if you know your donor base, you'll know the ones that'll show and you'll be able to predict how many will go online. Now, the one thing I've heard that people do when they run these virtual auctions, you might have board members that have a watching party at their house. That's a great way to get a lot of people showing
10 people
up.
or less, and we got to stand 6 feet apart.
There you go. So that's the one thing. Thank you for bringing that up. But it could just be families. Some of the donors have big families, and they, as long as they follow the rules, you can do that.
Yeah.
But, and then there's, God, I had a thought, and there it went.
Okay, you hold that thought.
Yeah,
I'll come back. I had so as you were talking about knowing your donor base, I was on another conversation earlier today, and they were talking about knowing that you have meaningful relationships with your donors. You need to know your donor base, but knowing that you have those meaningful relationships with them so that they will give back to you, and they will, whether they're giving transactionally by purchasing something they're giving to get, or they're just going to give, or maybe they're going to leverage that gift as a matching gift or something like that. But having those really strong, meaningful relationships, especially in this day and age, is what we're doing. Is we're broadening that relationship, we're expanding that relationship, because it's like, here, you as the donor, we want you to be more involved with us so that we can find more donors to be a part of this. And then we can, in a crisis time, continually, funding our programs and our mission, but then also how do we grow the capacity within that? And that's so important, is creating those meaningful relationships.
Well, the meaningful relationships too, you can leverage them. As you were talking, I was thinking a lot of my clients have their sponsors obviously underwriting certain parts of the event, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if it's not a live event, what are your underwriters going to do? What are they going to pay for? Right. Now, I know it sounds self-serving, but it's not just travel experiences that you can consign. There might be some memorabilia or jewelry or art, or you might be able to go to a local restaurant that they give you this phenomenal deal on a chef's table event. They won't give it to you, but if you come in there with some underwriting money, they'll give you a great discount, and you can use the underwriting money to pay for the other part. And that is something that you can do now. Before, obviously you want to do that for your live gala, but you might have all this potential revenue money out there. You cancel your event, you can't go get the revenue because they're locked in this mindset that, well, if you're not having an event, I'm not giving it to you. It's like, wait, we are having an event, yes, but we're just going to use the revenue or the underwriting money in a different way, more creative way.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of repurpose, or we're going to evolve, what this is, and I love that idea with the the rebranding of that sponsorship, and could take a travel package or a chef's dinner or something like that, and attach sponsor XYZ to that, and be like, okay, this package brought to you by sponsor ABC, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, okay, and then now sponsor ABC gets all of that exposure, gets all of that internet love from there. I mean, you're going to put the links in there, and then people, that's where we're creating that good juju for the sponsor being a philanthropic partner. But then as the donor sees that, they make that connection, they're like, oh, okay. And then the biggest win from that is then the charity is keeping that money and developing and creating a more meaningful relationship with that sponsor, and then that creates another opportunity to find a new donor or an existing donor and continue to build upon that relationship. And then that's how we get up the cycle.
Yeah, think about that. You're building a case study to take to new donors or new sponsors.
Yeah.
You're also showing in a really direct way the impact the donor or the sponsorship's dollars, how they multiply, I should say. It's an easy way to show the ROI on the investment. Yep. Because when someone sponsors all your, let's just call your centerpieces, there's nothing wrong with that. That's great because you give them away. Sometimes people pay 20 or 50 bucks for them too, or whatever you do. But if you say, Mr. Sponsor, you are going to underwrite this wonderful travel experience. You're also we think we can sell it for $4,000. It's only going to cost you $2,000. And then when you sell it in a live auction, for 4 or 5 or 6, virtually, they automatically see their ROI, and they get associated with that money.
Yeah.
And it's not trick, and it's not, you're not messing with the numbers. It's true. Or you just, hey, I made that happen. So congratulations. So everybody's kind of the donor and everybody wins.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's all of us connecting relationships within these virtual events or these virtual, fundraising experiences that we're creating. It's making those connections. So
that's right.
Michael, it's so good to see you. I know you are on the exact opposite side of the country than me. I mean, you're in California, and then now I'm back here in New York. And this is, right here, this is a technology. I haven't seen you for a few months, and now we're able to see each other and make this connection and have a virtual cup of coffee together. And yeah, man. So thank you so much for all of the information, and I'll put all of your links and everything below. So if anybody wants to reach out and say hello and kind of talk about opportunities there. So so thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay.
Hello.
All right.
Or goodbye, everybody.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, the nonprofits, and everyone that's watching this. What you do matters, and you are truly changing the world with the work that you are doing. And the more awesome you are, the more we can change the world, and the faster we can do that at a bigger rate. So I just want to say thank you again, Bobby D with Inspire Hearts and Virtual Event Fundraising. Continue, go out there and make it happen. And happy fundraising, everyone. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.